Top off. Ooh my, looks like something very nice is in here. There's a bag and all the stuff that no one really ever gets or wants. Well, looks like a Mosin, smells like a Mosin. Judging by the tip, it is a Mosin. With a pretty good crown still, so this is definitely in good shape. Very nice Mosin. I paid extra for this one. And this one looks like it's a Tula make, which wasn't what I asked for. I just asked for a really nice one, and it looks like that's what they got me. They've never done me wrong. Wow. I can't wait to look down the barrel on this one. Full of cosmoline, cha-cha-cha. Alright, time to go home. Looks good to me. Alright, let's take a look at this Mosin Nagant that I got fairly inexpensively for $79.95, and that includes the $10 hand select fee. And I didn't even specify what I wanted other than I just wanted something nice. So let's take a look at this here real quick. Starting from down here at the buttstock. This is a very unusual rifle in that I don't think I've ever owned one of these before that had a high wall receiver like it does here. This is a round receiver, of which this is probably the first one I've had in a while. But it's certainly, I think, the first one, maybe the first one ever, that has this high wall. A lot of times you'll see ones that have like a scalloped end here, and they were doing that up to a certain point, and then basically as the war started getting really bad, or, you know, disconcerting for the Russians, they basically started cutting shortcuts of one kind or another in the manufacturing process, and that was one of them. The round receiver they had already started going to back in the 30s to save on cost and time. But in any event, if you look at this gun here, it's in beautiful shape. This is a Tula. You can kind of see the star there. The star is a little worn out. I don't like that fact too much, but it's legible enough. I mean, you know what it basically is. And I didn't even ask for a Tula. I really wasn't... In this case, I really didn't care what it was, because this is going to be a gun I'm going to be using quite a bit. But, as you can see here, I've wiped off most of the cosmoline. And, you know, it comes with a bayonet. It comes with all the things it usually comes with. This is a follower spring magazine catch that I took out because it had quite a bit of cosmoline on them. This is the bag that it came in, and as you can see here, this is all the cosmoline that I just wiped off just on the exposed metal parts. I haven't even gone down this barrel yet to see how bad it really is, although I did take a peek down there, and ugh, it's going to be a mess. But in any event, so that's how much cosmoline came from that. There's all the cosmoline just from the bayonet alone because it was packed in grease here. And then, you know, they're very clever about how they pack this. They put the bolt, just so it stays in good shape, doesn't get banged around, in a separate FedEx pack rolled up next to the pack they use to put the gun in. And if you take a look at it, as you can see here, as you can see, this thing is coated with cosmoline. I mean, it's shining off of it. It's so much. I mean, look at that. It's been like up an elephant's ass or something. The only gun I've seen that has more cosmoline packed in them are these like Mauser M91-47s, the Yugoslavian ones, like the one I showed you. They're the only ones that I've seen more cosmoline in than I've seen in these Mosin Nagants. This is going to take a little cleaning, you know, which I'm not going to bore you with. And you know, I'm not like most folks who goes to the trouble, or most people who go to the trouble of taking everything apart, including the metal off the stock, and then just washing everything. You know, this stuff was designed to preserve these guns, and, you know, a little cosmoline isn't going to kill or hurt anything. The main thing is getting it out of the barrel, getting out of the action, getting out of all the working parts, and that's what I'm basically going to do. I'll probably take an alcohol swab and, you know, get the rest of the grease off that I can reach, and then of course clean the barrel. And the bolt, I will take apart the bolt and clean those parts like I would like any other normal cleaning process for the gun before I take it out to the range. But in any event, this is a pretty nice gun here. It comes with, or this one came with the belt and with the ammo pouch and with all the accoutrements that you normally get, you know, the little gauge. This is almost essential with any Mosin Nagant, so you can make sure you don't have a pin that's too long or too short when you reset it. But it didn't come with the oiler can, which I don't really give two shits about, but I was a little surprised that it didn't come with that. But anywho, there is one very little intriguing thing I've noticed about this gun. And for you guys who are heavy collectors, you'll notice it right off the back when we look down here. Let me see if I can get a better shot of that. That looks like the circle that they would put on the buttstock with the CCCP logo on it. I think it's been worn off, or I don't know, maybe it's something else, but it's possible that's the case. The reason I think that is because while this stock is really, really nice, and it looks like it's been worked over with shellac at least once, I started looking at this and I noticed that if you look at the eyelets here, where the you know, the strap or whatever is going to go through, and you put your the connectors to the strap through this. What I have noticed is it has these little eyelets with the screws in them, and that's not something you see a whole lot of on these late model Mosins. Usually they just have one big stamp piece, or sometimes they just cut a slot in there and just leave it at that. They don't even put anything else in there. So the fact that it has these eyelets on there makes me think that it's quite possible this stock may be one of those earlier hexagonal stocks from one time, or at one time. And then the next thing I noticed is, you know, usually in these older stocks you don't see scallop grooves on the edge here. That's one of the tip-offs that it's probably an older stock, maybe a pre-World War I, or, you know, just an earlier stock that they would have used at one time. But if you look at this really carefully, it looks like these cut-ins have been added and not stained over very well, and they don't look like the normal shape that I usually see them on. And you can flip it to the other side and check it out. You know, they almost look like they were added at some point. I don't know. It's just kind of weird. So I have a feeling that the stock is probably older than the gun itself, or the metal parts are, oddly enough. So that was an interesting little tidbit about this rifle. I'll have to keep that in mind. That's just a guess. You know, you can't be 100% sure on these guns because there's so much history, and they've gone through so many hands before they've come to the U.S. at some point through the refurb process, or just, you know, usage by other countries, or just basically sitting in a box for decades on end. You really don't know too much, but it's still interesting nonetheless. I really like the finish on this gun too. I mean, it's just fabulous. It has, you know, some grain to it. It doesn't look like it's been worked over. You know, a lot of times you get these stocks that have pieces that have been taken out, and you know that they've been replacement pieces because of cracks in the stock or whatever, or defects in the stock of one kind or another. And this one doesn't seem to have it on either side. So all in all, a pretty good gun. I can't wait to clean it up and take it to the range. Unlike my other Mosin Nagants, I'm going to do as much as possible not to add that little thing to the sight to raise that post so it'll shoot lower. I'm going to try shooting this with the bayonet several times with different kinds of loads, because that's the way you're supposed to shoot it, just to see if that affects the center point of aim, or the point that hits the paper, to see if that makes a difference or not. Because I noticed on one of my other guns the other day when I took it to the range and put the bayonet on, actually it was my friend's gun, but when we put the bayonet on, it was shooting almost exactly lower than what I was adjusting for when I first got it. So we'll have to test that out and see. So anyway, that's it for now. And that's all she wrote.